But anyway, there I had my 3 advisors, and then I went to China itself to do the in-depth research for this first book. And I was very lucky to be taken under the wing of this guy called Wu Harping. Wu Harping is like the most famous cop in China. And he's the most famous cop in China because he solved this very famous case involving these artifact smugglers and was promoted as a result. It was a 2-year investigation, and he was promoted to head of the propaganda department of the Ministry of Public Security, the police ministry. Propaganda has a totally different connotation in China from what it does here. And in fact what they do, the propaganda department, it's the weirdest thing you've ever heard of. They publish crime fiction and they make TV cop shows. They've got studio facilities, crews, the whole thing. They would make the equivalent of, CSI for China. And I discovered at the same time that the cops in China not only like solving crimes, they like writing fiction about crime. And there are tens of thousands of them all over China who write these crime short stories and mysteries, and they get published every month in a regular publication. The propaganda department, the Ministry of Public Security brings out, and they're in love with the whole genre, and they're fascinated by Sherlock Holmes and Agatha Christie and all the classic kind of early mysteries. And they even get time off work to go and study it at the University of Public Security, which is the police university there. Do 4-week courses on the history of Western detective fiction. Bizarre. But the thing was that when Wu Harping, when he was promoted to this job, very first thing he did was an 8-hour dramatization of this case that he'd cracked and gotten his promotion. So he wrote it himself, he produced it himself, and he starred in it as himself. Which we thought was pretty strange. We were being told this, we were at a banquet and he was hosting it, and the interpreter was telling us this story, and we said, he starred in it as himself? And he said, yeah, and the 4 criminals, they also starred in it as himself. And we went, this can't be possible. And he said, well, actually what happened was, during the actual investigation, they shot some real life footage and they cut that in with the dramatisation. I said, all right. And they said, of course, they had to get actors to play them after they'd been executed. Okay, this is a guy to keep in with. And we did just that, and he opened every door for us that we wanted opened. Anything that I asked to see, we got to see. And we've been in some pretty strange places, in the police morgue in Shanghai, which is an extraordinary facility. The Forensic Science Institute in Beijing, police headquarters. I mean, anywhere we asked to see, we got access to. And he got us access to other things that we would never have been able to get access to without his kind of influence brought to bear. The thing is, in China they have this thing which is woven into the fabric of society there, and they have a name for it, it's called Guan Xi. And Guan Xi is a kind of honor system of you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Somebody does you a favour, you're absolutely honour bound to repay that favour. And the society just works on that basis, it functions that way. So much so that they have this name for it, Guan Xi. And I was aware, particularly during the research for the first 2 books, that I was building up a substantial deficit of Guan Xi. Like, I'm getting all these favours, and one day I'm going to have to pay back, and I had no idea how I was going to do it, or what they might ask, until one day we came back from Xi'an by rail, checked into the hotel, and there was a phone call from a guy I knew at the Ministry of Public Security, and he said, Mr. Wu Harping would like you to come to the Imperial Restaurant in Tiananmen Square at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Right, well, great, food. He said, the car will come to pick you up. 4:45, big black limousine pulled up outside the hotel. I went down, windows were all smoked glass, couldn't see it. Slipped inside, nice comfortable leather seats, plainclothes driver in the front, we headed off. Police plates front and back so we get waved through all the intersections, no problem. And then, as you come from the east side, heading towards the north end of Tiananmen Square, right on that corner there's a compound which used to be the British Embassy, and it's since been taken over by the Ministries of State and Public Security. Public security is the police, state security is like the Chinese equivalent of the CIA. And I'd often would pass the gates many times and I thought, that'd be interesting to see in there. Well, as we were passing this time, suddenly the car veered round towards the gates and I thought, whoa, my dreams are coming true again. Be careful what you wish for. And the driver looked over his shoulder and said, "You want to see inside the Ministry of State Security?" And I thought, will I ever get out again? But my natural curiosity got the better of me and I said, yeah, let's go and have a look. So he stopped at the gate, showed his ID to the armed guards and they waved us in. And I had quite a bit of trepidation about this trip. But then the weird thing, the totally unexpected thing, and China gets like this all the time, is that not only did they work in this compound, but they also lived there, the apartment blocks, and their families lived there. It was Sunday afternoon, the kids were out in the street playing soccer, and it didn't feel at all threatening, you know. And the driver's going, yeah, the cops are over there in that building, and the spies are over there. And we're going, hey, fantastic. Cruised through, and much to my relief, came out the gate at the bottom end of it. And I thought, wow, that was a real privilege. There's not many people from the West have been through here and come out the other end. So we then turned right along the street at the bottom there, which took us along to the bottom end of Tiananmen Square, up to the restaurant, wheeled out into the restaurant, and into a huge big banqueting room. There's like a huge big circular table set for about 30 people. And I thought, at last, food, great. But no, I got ushered on past and into this ante-room, and got sat down on this wooden bench against the back wall. And the only other person there was my translator, Mr. Dai, and I said to Mr. Dai, "What's going on?" And he went, and I thought, what does that mean? I said, sorry, he went, and I thought, okay, I'll not ask any further. And we sat there, and over the next, 30 minutes, people kept coming in. People I'd never seen before, men and women, all ages. And they came over and they would shake my hand and pull up a chair and sit down until, just like yourselves, all sitting around there, about 30, 35, 40 people, all sitting around looking at me. I'm sitting looking at them, and they're looking at me, and I have no idea what I'm doing here, or what they're doing here. And then Mr. Wu Herping bounced in, and he's a great character, and he's saying, he's changing all the usual Chinese courtesies, and I said to him, you gave me a fantastic idea for my next book, and he said, I give you stone, you give me back jade. Look the way they talk, and then he sat down and he became very serious. He said, okay, so now you will give us a lecture on the history of the Western detective novel. And they all started pulling out notebooks and pens. And I'm going, oh my God. So I gave them a 30-minute lecture on the history of the Western detective novel. I made it all up. Sounded good, and they had to stop and translate every couple of sentences, which gave me time to figure out what I was going to say next. After Sherlock Holmes, where do I go next? So that was kind of repayment of the Guan Xi. Well, there was more to it than that. There was quite a bit more to it than that, but that was the beginning of it.